I was with another man while on the phone with my husband. His voice was gentle, full of love and warmth, telling me he missed me and had saved my favorite cake for when I came home. I told him I was tired from the writing retreat, lied because I couldn't tell him the truth. The truth was, I wasn't alone. I had already crossed a line I promised I never would, betraying the one man who loved me more than anyone else ever could. And in the wake of my choices, everything I cherished began to unravel. Our home, our trust, and the life we built together. I've spent the last 2 years writing letters I'll never send. Some are apologies, some are confessions, some are just desperate, broken pages filled with the words I couldn't find when it mattered most. But none of them fix anything. None of them bring him back. None of them change what I did. The truth is, I don't even know why I'm writing anymore. Maybe because regret doesn't die. It just settles into your bones like cold. Maybe because memory is cruel. Or maybe because I still love him. I think I always will. His name was Eli, and he loved me like I was something sacred. We met in the library at university. I was a second-year English major, half bored and half dreaming, writing poetry no one read. He was an engineering student who kept getting lost in the humanities building and liked to leave handwritten notes and return books. I found one once, slipped inside a copy of The Bell Jar. It said, "Even in the dark, light remembers how to find you." I smiled. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was romantic. I didn't know I'd marry the man behind that note 2 years later. Eli was gentle, thoughtful in ways most people miss. He noticed when I switched shampoos or wore a new pair of earrings. He remembered how I took my tea and which of my favorite books made me cry. On our second date, he brought me daisies because I once told him they were my mother's favorite. People say passion fades, but with Eli, it just deepened. We grew into each other like vines. His world became mine, and mine his. He proposed under a willow tree in the park where we first kissed. I said yes before he even finished asking. We were married in a tiny ceremony on the cliffs outside town. Just close friends, family, and the wind carrying our vows into the sea. He cried when he saw me walk down the aisle. I didn't. Not because I wasn't moved, but because I felt too whole to fall apart. I believed in our forever. And for a long time, I lived inside that belief like it was a home. For 12 years, Eli was everything. My best friend, my safe place, the keeper of every version of me. We had 2 daughters, Hannah and May. He built them a treehouse himself, stayed up till midnight Christmas Eve assembling toys, and never missed a recital. He was the kind of father who made pancakes into animal shapes and read bedtime stories in different voices. He worked hard, too hard sometimes, but always made time for us. I used to watch him carry our girls on his shoulders, laughing and think, how did I get this lucky? But luck isn't permanent. And some things, some people, you lose because of the choices you make, not the ones made for you. I still don't know the exact moment things began to shift, not between Eli and me, but inside me. I started writing again, really writing. I hadn't published anything since before May was born, but an old professor reached out and encouraged me to submit something to a literary magazine. I did. They accepted it. Then another did. Then a small publisher asked me to join a writer's retreat along the coast. Eli was proud. God, he was proud. He kissed me the night I left and said, "Go be brilliant. I'll be here when you come back." I remember standing at the window of the retreat house that first night, looking at the waves and thinking how good my life was, how full. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't running. But I was open. And that's all it takes. His name was Julian. He was a writer, 6 years older, published, magnetic in the kind of way that makes you feel seen even in silence. He taught one of the evening workshops. His voice was deep, unhurried. His eyes stayed on you too long. He wore the kind of sadness you want to fix. He read one of my pieces aloud during critique, said it was haunting, that it reminded him of something he couldn't name. I told him I didn't write it to be understood. I wrote it to let go. He smiled and said, "That's exactly why it works." That night we stayed up late with a small group, talking poetry and heartbreak and the ghost we all carry. Julian and I sat too close. Our knees touched. We shared a bottle of wine. I laughed too hard at his stories. I didn't mention Eli until someone asked if I was married. "Yes," I said quickly. 12 years. He nodded, not surprised, not bothered. "Lucky man," he said. I should have left then. Gone to my room, called Eli and listened to him tell me about the girls and the dog and how May lost her first tooth. But I didn't. I stayed. And that was the first betrayal. Not the kiss that came days later. Not the affair that unfolded slowly. The real betrayal was emotional. It was the night I stopped telling Eli the truth. I told myself it was harmless. That I was just flattered. That Julian was just a writer appreciating another writer's work. But I knew better. I knew the way my heart skipped when he complimented me. I knew the way I waited for him to enter a room. And I knew what I was doing when I lingered near him during breaks, when I offered to walk with him to town, when I laughed at jokes that weren't funny. When he kissed me, I kissed him back. It was soft and unsure and filled with everything we both hadn't said aloud. I told him I couldn't, that I was married, that I loved my husband. He said, "I know," and kissed me again. When I returned home, Eli met me at the train station with the girls. He looked tired but happy. I hugged him too tightly. I smelled his skin and promised myself I'd forget everything. But I didn't. I couldn't. Julian wrote to me. Emails turned to phone calls. Phone calls turned into video chats. He told me he couldn't stop thinking about me, that I wrote the kind of loneliness he'd never been able to name. I told him I felt lost. He told me I wasn't alone. I said I wouldn't see him again. But I did. 3 months later, I told Eli I was invited to another retreat. I lied. It wasn't a retreat. It was a weekend in a rented cabin with Julian. We didn't write. We didn't talk much. We just drowned in each other, in the guilt, in the fire we pretended was love. I cried after. Julian held me and told me it didn't make me a bad person, that wanting something more didn't mean I didn't love what I already had. But I did. I loved Eli. I loved our girls. And still I went back 5 times, 5 lies, 5 returns, 5 stolen weekends that unraveled the fabric of the life I had built. Eli knew something was wrong. He asked if I was okay, if I was overwhelmed. I told him I was tired, that writing was draining me, that I just needed time. He believed me, because he trusted me, because I was his wife. Until the night he didn't. It was after May's birthday. He found a message. I'd forgotten to delete it. I'd been sloppy. Stupid. The message was short. I still taste you in every line I write. Come back to me. He didn't say anything for 3 days. When he finally did, his voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't rage. He just asked, "How long?" I tried to lie. I said it only happened once. But Eli always knew when I was lying. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He just nodded and walked out of the room. I followed him, cried, collapsed onto the kitchen floor and begged him to talk to me. He stood there, watching me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. "You had everything," he said. "And I would have given you more if you'd just asked." I said it was a mistake, that I'd end it, that it didn't mean anything. He looked at me then, really looked, and whispered, "But you meant it while it was happening." He didn't leave right away. We tried therapy, for the kids, for the history. But something in him had cracked, and I couldn't unbreak it. He moved out 4 months later, took the guest room at his brother's. We shared custody. The girls cried every night for the first 2 weeks. I'd sit outside their rooms and bite my knuckles so they wouldn't hear me sobbing. Julian tried to reach out. I blocked him. I couldn't look at the thing I ruined everything for. He wasn't the villain. I was. I made the choices. I let it happen. Eli filed for divorce the following spring. I remember signing the papers. My hands shook. His didn't. He thanked me for being honest, even when I hadn't been. Then he said, "I hope one day the guilt stops eating you." It hasn't. Not a single day has gone by where I haven't thought about him. About the way he used to dance with me in the kitchen. About the songs he sang to the girls. About how he used to whisper, "My whole world is right here," and I shattered that world. There is no redemption in this story. No neat ending. Just a woman who loved deeply and destroyed it anyway. I still write letters to him sometimes. I never send them. I just fold them into the pages of old books and hope that, somehow, the words reach him in a way I never could. I loved him. And I'll spend the rest of my life learning how to live with the fact that I lost the kind of love most people never find. Because I wanted more than everything. Because I forgot how rare it was. Because I made the wrong choice. And because some mistakes don't come with second chances.